Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you. I'm so grateful for our community where we not only celebrate Christmas, but we honor the community tradition of Kwanzaa, and also want to wish Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish brothers and sisters. I've got a couple of friends that have been sending pictures of their menorahs with the candles lit. And there is a commonality in these traditions of bringing a light to remind us of the spiritual significance of this time of year and of our teachings. Because sometimes we get wrapped up in other things. Got to go out to the right club on New Year's Eve, right? I've got a tip that I really enjoyed. This came from an online poster. This New Year's hottest club is Stay the Blank Home. This place has everything. Cheap drinks, heavy pours, your favorite spot on the couch, no bathroom lines, no cover for ladies. Masks and bras are not required. VIP fridge access, live performances by you staring at your phone. Happy New Year. Isn't that great? I love this ceremony. I love this time of year that, and I chose for my title, A Time to Reflect. It feels like the Sunday between Christmas and New Year's, pretty much the world just ceases to function in many ways. It's really time out of time. And we here at Unity, the staff and the volunteers, we've been so busy. And it does slow down, even for us, for a little bit. The staff has the days off the office at days off between Christmas and New Year's, and I got to spend some time with my mom and some family in Oklahoma. It was just great, just to simply be. It's really good. I have 3 questions or points for us today as we are reflecting on our lives, where we are, what we've experienced this year as we're moving forward, and these are not uncommon. A lot of the ceremonies that we offer, burning bowl, white stone, they often give us these questions. The first is to ask this: what is it that I want more of in my life? What is it I want more of in my life? The second is to ask, what do I want to have less of in my life? And the third is, am I willing to be that? And that's a big question. You know, sometimes ministers come to comfort the afflicted, and sometimes we come to afflict the comfortable. I might have a little bit of that. But what do we want more of? So I was thinking about the principles of Kwanzaa, the 12 Powers ceremony that the ministers and LUTs, the ministerial students and community, led us in a couple of weeks ago. And these lists of words, and in my meditation, I chose the 7 primary qualities of God, according to one of our New Thought patriarchs. That was Thomas Troward. And then I was thinking, for some reason, of the fruits of the Spirit from the book of Galatians. I just wanted to share with you Galatians 5:22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Isn't that beautiful? Just that these are things that are offered to us for to experience. They are native within us. And it really comes down to, when we're asking this question, what do I want more of? Well, you choose. You've been given 2 gifts here, choice and time. And so it is up to you to welcome a deeper experience of these divine qualities into your expression, how you give yourself into the world, and your experience, how you receive the universe into your own life. From the book of Job, chapter 22, you shall also decree a thing, and it will be established for you, so light will shine on your ways. To decree it, to claim it to be, to choose your direction and your word. This is what I now decree for my life, for my experience. This is mine. And to affirm that it is already given to you because it's already given as you. That it's already, as our oneness with God, that those infinite, beautiful qualities of life, light, love, power, peace, beauty, joy, all of those things are already here, but they may be asleep. They may be shadowed by our false beliefs and false identities and old patterns of thinking and behavior, so we're not able to fully live the truth of who we are. And that is why we do ceremonies like 12 Powers and Kwanzaa. We learn to, sometimes we learned how to know what it is that we are by seeing how we're not. And that leads me to my second question. What do you want less of? A lot of spiritual teachers say that, in Unity, we don't teach that evil is a power. It's more like darkness is the absence of light, and that's what we say. We experience evil on the human level, but it's people who have forgotten the light of their being. They've forgotten that we are inherently good, and so we act out in those ways, and that's how we understand that there is no eternal battle between good and evil, that the essence of the one experience, expression, life, it's God, it's all one, and we're a part of it, but we don't always know it. And so we come here to learn by contrast. In this 3D realm, in the absolute realm, we are the birthless, deathless, changeless expressions of eternal light and goodness. That's what we are. But here we learn through contrast. We learn up and down, hot and cold, close and far, and that is a way that we begin to live, embody, experience, and express the truth. So I was noticing in all these lists I've been sharing, not the Troward list, but the other ones, faith is included as part of one of the candles for Kwanzaa. It's one of our 12 powers. And I was thinking about that. And then in the fruits of the Spirit, it's also included in that one as well. And this is the bridge between the absolute and the relative. That we can know that we are absolutely one with God, even though our experience may not be feeling like that. And when we live by faith, we begin to demonstrate it over time. Something evolves, something is revealed, something grows, something heals in us. And over time, more of that eternal truth of who we are begins to show up. And we have to be willing to determine by that contrast teacher, I don't want that. People say, I don't want that in my life. I've had it for a long time. My grandpa had it, and his grandpa probably had it. We inherit these old beliefs, but that's not the truth of me, and I don't want it. And I began to release, let it go. I was preparing for this message yesterday, and I was up in Oklahoma, and I was supposed to land yesterday at 4:30 at Bush Airport. At 6:30, we got on the plane in Tulsa. There had been a ground stop. I know that you all had some weather, I understand, particularly down south, and I know that there was a loss of life in the tornado, and we just want to bless anyone who's affected, their homes or their families. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll still get home around 8, so I hadn't had dinner. I thought, that's important. It'll be fine. I'll still have time to do a little bit more sermon prep, and then I'll still go to bed close to my regular time, which is early. I will not be up for New Year's Eve at midnight, most likely. And I walked into my house at 11:45 p.m. We got on the plane in Tulsa at 6:30. We landed at 8 p.m. in Houston, and we sat for almost 3 hours. They had a ground stop, and so they had a lot of planes that had never left, and then they had a lot of planes that had now landed and were trying to find a gate, and so we just sat. And it started actually at the Tulsa airport that the United gate crew, they were saying, thank you for your patience. And then the pilot came on 35 times as we sat there on the tarmac and said, thank you for your patience. And I could tell he was not patient. And I thought, am I patient right now? Do I feel patient? Really. And what I mostly felt was frustration and impatience. That's what I was mostly feeling, because I was going to miss my bedtime and my supper. The flight attendant brought by this little piece of like chocolate crunchy something, and I was like inhaling it. It was like, I mean, it's like I don't feel very patient. But I could tell that I wasn't experiencing patience because of my impatience, my frustration. I learned by contrast. I don't want to be that way. I would rather be patient. And so I began to, if I didn't have an electronic device, I probably would have been a lot more impatient. But I opened my iPad. I began to read, really to study the Galatians passage, and just I had some notes on there, and I was just like, okay, this is a beautiful time in this tiny little seat. I'm a little hungry, but I'm here. And a friend of mine were texting, and I was just sharing my experience, and she said, I experience you as very patient, Michael. And I said, I think that's true, and that was not true for many, many years. I have seen an evolution as I've let go of more and more of my need to have it my way and opened to moving in the flow of Spirit. And I'm not done. I was telling our staff as we were preparing for those 2 services on Christmas Eve, I said, this is the most unattached I've ever felt to outcome. I had so much, I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, I have so much, I want to get it perfect, I want everybody to come, I want it to be wonderful and just perfect, and I've had to really work with that around Christmas Eve. And this year, I was like, I feel completely fine. Well, the heavens opened, the deluge came, and a lot fewer people came to our service on this past Tuesday because of the storm. And I found out I'm not as unattached as I thought I was. I was like, oh, there it is. I guess I did want this to be perfect again, and I've got a little frustration, disappointment. And here's the difference. I noticed it. I think I said something to a couple of the ministers about it. I said, I guess I am attached. Look at that. And then guess what? Once again, I was less attached, just noticing it, calling it out. I was telling my brother that, who's also a pastor, and he shared with me one of his mentors was preaching at his church one Sunday, and it started raining, and the preacher looked around, he looked out in the audience and says, well, we're going to stay here. We're just going to stay, because I know when it rains at your house, you stay there, you don't come. So it's raining, we're here, we're just going to stay. That's good. I like that. So this comes to the afflicting the comfortable part of our portion of our message today. We've already asked, what do we want more of? What do we want less of? And now we're asking, am I willing to be this? Am I willing to be a person who is this way, to experience this? I first came across this concept. My mentor and minister in Dallas, Reverend Dr. Petra Weldis, would tell a story of her mentor who was counseling a woman who had not had great luck in relationships and had discovered our New Thought teaching that we get to, as Cindy was in her beautiful promo for the Prosperity Plus class, this woman was like, I get to affirm healthy relationship, and I want that. And she came in for spiritual counseling because she had been doing her affirmations, and it hadn't happened yet. And so the minister there, Reverend Jim Munson, he worked with her, and nothing was moving. And finally, he said, you keep affirming all these lists of qualities you want in a partner, in a husband. Are you the kind of woman that would attract that kind of a man? Whew. She left. Not happy with that question. And Petra, as she relates the story, this is like a 4th person telling of this story, but I love it. It's a great story. The woman came back and met with Reverend Jim again, and she said, thank you for that. I wasn't ready to hear it, but it was what I needed to hear. And I recognized that I had not done the work on myself yet to attract what I wanted. And she did end up bringing into her life a beautiful partner as she changed to be that kind of a person, did that work of healing. So whatever it is that we don't want, are we willing to accept that we must be a part in creating whatever it is, this person that doesn't want that? And what we do want, we have to be the one, it's our consciousness. We often, at this time of year, we look forward and we just simply say, I want that, I don't want that, as I look back. But are we willing to change? That's the question. Are we willing to be different, to have a different experience? How do we do it? If we want to have a more abundant life, that's what Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. What Jesus taught us is that the kingdom of heaven is within, that it's already here. And for us to live the life of abundance, we must enter into that kingdom. And that means in consciousness, we must live in unity with the principles of life and light, and love and power and peace and beauty and joy. We must live in connection with that truth as who I am, and then we begin to demonstrate a life of that. And we have a beautiful tool here, and it's called practice. Aristotle, he was a smart guy. He said, we are what we repeatedly do. Success then I've got to get this right. Success then is not an act, but a habit. And this brings up an even dirtier word, discipline. Discipline. Are we willing to discipline our behavior to help us line our consciousness up with truth? I expected people to leave when I said that. Because honestly, sometimes we get the reputation as the happiness and success church. Go there, say a few affirmations, you're going to get everything you want. It doesn't work like that. Affirmations are a big part of our practice, but it is a practice. We have to be willing to let go of old behaviors and patterns of thinking and beliefs about who we are. We have to be willing to do all of that. And we must be willing to take up new practices, new behaviors. Whew. Right, exactly. I get tired just thinking about it, Joanne. But we're here to help you. Take Reverend Cindy's class coming up. I'm teaching a class in February. Take it. Just begin to find some willingness in you to commit some time to learning principles and to practicing being different around this stuff. We have so many success stories of people who have done that in this community and completely turned their lives around. The 4 areas in the class that Cindy mentioned in her announcement is our finances, our relationships, our health, our contribution to the world, our vocation. And I have experienced healing in all of those areas. Still waiting for that big healing on the relationship one, but I'm a work in progress. My mom reminded me of a little kid song we used to sing at the Methodist church where I grew up. He's still working on me to make me what I ought to be. And I just think that's a beautiful reminder that we are continually in this process of healing and becoming. I thought this was great. I used this as a sermon joke maybe last year, but I thought it illustrated my point today. A young man's working with a life coach, and he says to her, every month I'm spending more money than I'm making. My credit card bills are out of control. I just need to find a way to get more money. The coach responds, having more income will not fix your spending habits. The young man says, I don't want to fix my spending habits. I want to afford them. Those are laughs of recognition, I can tell. So I want to end with a little bit more conversation around faith. Trusting that, well, in Hebrews it says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I love that, if I got this right, that Ken said that the red candles were for the struggle and the green for the promise, the creative possibilities. So we have to do both sides of that. But faith is that bridge where we begin to say, I don't know how it's going to come about. I don't know what I'm going to need to do. And I don't know how my different, new, expanded life will look and feel, but I know it's mine. I know it's mine. And I'm willing to continue on this path of practice and prayer and affirmation and community. That's a spiritual practice too. Study, read these books, write about them, journaling. These are all practices we can take up. Faith in God and your own path of evolution. You can trust it. A couple of things, last ideas about faith I wanted to share. And I got this from Brene Brown. I don't think she originated it, but I grew up in a faith where, in a faith tradition where I was supposed to believe in Jesus. We said creeds, about what we're supposed to believe, and so that made sure that we were on the right team because we believed all these words, and that's the way it's supposed to be. We believed things about reality, and that was how we assured that we were in right relationship with God. And so if you're doing it right, you feel very certain of what you believe. Anybody else have a upbringing like that? And so I was so sure of my certainty as a kid until it all started falling apart and realized that what I had been taught was not ringing true in my own life. And I began to deconstruct some of that and began to explore for myself. And I missed the certainty of that old fundamentalist Christian faith for a long time. I missed it. It was nice having all the answers. Isn't that nice having all the answers? And some of you in here think you have all the answers. Doesn't that feel nice? Back to what I was going to say. Brene Brown says that the opposite of faith isn't doubt. The opposite is certainty. See, faith is the bridge. Faith is what carries us across the I don't know what the heck is going on here. We don't have to know. We're never going to know what it's going to look like. We're never going to know the way that our prayers will be answered. Often we miss the answers to our prayers because it didn't come looking in the package that we thought it was going to. Alcoholism was a big answered prayer for me. I didn't know it. For many years, I didn't know it. I heard in a 12-step meeting recently, they said when we first got sober, we used these principles in this community to fix the problems caused by our drinking. And then for the rest of our lives, we use them to fix the problems that caused our drinking. The evolution continues, and it is my faith that is continuing to heal and grow me. This is from Rilke. The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us before it happens. Right here and right now, your brilliant, brighter future is already in you, ready to transform you. And I'll close with this quote, also by Rilke. This comes from his letters to a young poet. Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given to you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without even noticing it, live along into some distant day into the answer. Pray with me now. In this moment, I remember that there is only one thing ever happening. It is the life of God, eternally pouring itself in and out of form, revealing itself in infinite expressions, and yet it remains one. One power, one presence, one love, one life. And that is what I am. I am eternally, always at depth connected to this source of all good. It is my very life. And knowing this connection, knowing this life of God living me, through me, as me, I now speak my word for myself and for all within the sound of my voice. I trust the process of the unfolding of my eternal soul. I trust that there is an evolution that is occurring in time, in space, so that I can reveal that part of me which is deeper than time and space, which is greater than time and space, that is the eternal, infinite light of God that I am. And I welcome every change that is revealing itself to me as I release that which no longer serves, old identities, old patterns of belief and behavior and thinking that are not the truth of who I am. And having cleared the space of this release, I welcome a greater embodiment and experience of the truth of my connection to God, that all needs have already been met, that all healing has already occurred because I am made in the image and the likeness of the one. I am whole, now and forever. And so for all of us on this path of our becoming, I trust that we have our eyes open to welcome the gift in everything that comes to our door, even those things that appear to be unwelcome. They too are the invitation to our growth, to our healing, to our eternal becoming. And so I trust this process for myself and for us all. Use us, God. Move through us, God. Show us the truth of who you are and who we are as your beloved expressions. We release this prayer now knowing it is done. We let it be, and so it is. Amen. I see that beautiful potential in all of you. I see the promise of what is yet to be revealed in your lives. And that's my job, is to stand up here and know that you are more than you have yet experienced of the good of who you are. You are worthy of love and belonging. You are worthy of a life abundant. And if no one has told you today that you are loved, I love you. God bless you. Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.